You are joining us for round 9 of the GB4 Championship in 2024. Once again from Donington Park. We've had 2 action-packed races, 1 more to go this afternoon, and I don't expect anything less than we've had from the previous races, with it being the full reverse grid race. The weather, again being British, it's decided to change again. Not long ago in the British GT race we had to red flag because there was too much standing water, and now we're completely dry. So who knows what could happen in this one. Very much looking forward to a good race. But before we build up to race number 3 this weekend, round 9 of the championship, let's have a look at the previous 2 races that have happened this weekend.
Highlights from round 7 of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. It was an excellent start from pole sitter Linus Granfors. Not a great one though from the other driver on the front row, being Brandon McCacken. He was under pressure from McNeely into the first turn, but was able to fend him off with a move straight around the outside at Redgate. Very, very close indeed between the lot of them. Unfortunately, the big talking point in the first lap was this for Palmovsky, who would take an awful lot of those curbs, and it would make the car's rear suspension break, and unfortunately she'd retire from the race. Brandon Templeton making a move down the inside of Finn Harrison at the first corner. That would not be the only time they would battle during proceedings of the 7th round of the championship. Meanwhile, Marcus Lucio was trying to find his way past a good defensive drive from Harry Burgoyne Jr. until that moment. They're just running out a little bit wide for Burgoyne Jr., opening opportunity for Lucio to come through. There is another move then, Finn Harrison working his way down the inside and moving his way up the order. Meanwhile, the battling would happen behind as Wilson would make the move on Templeton, opening the door for Baxter to fire his way past the pair of them, moving his way up to 8th position. The race lead though, it was all about Granfors coming across the line to take victory for the 4th consecutive time this season, leading over McCacken and McNeely. A brilliant drive though from him, the championship leader. Highlights from round number 8 of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Marcus Lucio from the front row of the grid, unable to really get going, and it was Liam McNeely to sweep around the outside of Fox Motorsports and take the lead down into the first corner. Brandon McCacken would dive down the inside. Meanwhile, there was contact behind. It would see Alicia Palmovsky having her issues, Liam Wilson having his issues, Brandon Templeton also getting involved in that somewhat as well. The Essex section down the hill towards the old hairpin, we'll see a couple of switches with Marcus Lucio dropping back behind Finn Harrison, and unfortunate issues for Palmovsky coming a cropper here. Callum Baxter going straight up down the inside, of course, with the up and under at the Melbourne hairpin, and then side by side for the race lead. Epic battle here between Brandon McCacken and McNeely, and it was Brandon McCacken to take over the race lead with that one there. Harry Burgoyne Jr. starting to apply the pressure to the back of McNeely, who was starting to feel it himself with a couple of slips and slides. In fact, that one there, as he'd go straight on at Redgate at the first turn, would cost himself a couple of positions, but he would return into these battles. We were seeing excellent car control though from Alicia Palmovsky, keeping Megan Priest and Dan Hickey behind just towards the back end of the top 10, doing everything she could to keep that car on the road despite the damage that it dealt with. Brandon McCacken would come through the final corner to take victory for the 2nd time in his GB4 career, ahead of McNeely and Burgoyne.
So that was the highlights from rounds 7 and 8, and the championship is coming, together quite nicely actually at the front of the field. With Linus Granfors for Fortec Motorsports still leads the way on 190 points. Harry Burgoyne Jr. closes the gap after a dramatic race, which Max and I will chat about in just a moment. Brandon McCacken after that second place, Alicia Palmovsky, then Callum Baxter, Brandon Templeton, Marcus Lucio in 7th, Chloe Grant in 8th, Liam Wilson in 9th, and rounding out the top 10 is Jack Taylor. So, Max, let's have a look back at some of those moves and shakes that we had in that previous race. If you're just seeing me in the vision, I am actually dressed for every occasion. Sorry about all the layers. I had coat on, coat off. But the race, really good race from our winner, Brandon McCacken. Just to touch on him very briefly, what a drive.
Yeah, incredible drive. As I said in a show before, he was driving it like a Formula Ford car. You could see he was getting the rear out into the high-speed corners, being able to get on the power super early and driving it out. Fantastic car control, fantastic driving. Really good drive from Harry Burgoyne as well, his teammate. Amazing start. For anyone wants to watch it back, you can literally put in like the slowest slow motion playing for the race start, and you literally see the lights go out, him move, and he's basically like in the middle of both cars before anyone else has actually got through their grid boxes yet. So brilliant start from him. Really good drive up through the field, made a mistake. Then when he was battling for his championship contender with Granfors, managed to pull off a critical move right at the end to then claim a podium.
Yeah, it was a good race. We touched on Brandon McCacken, and the KMR Sport team had a good race overall, but we heard briefly from Brandon and his dad actually in the podium ceremony, and we actually caught up with them between then and now to hear a bit more about what's gone on to get them on the grid this weekend. Let's hear from both of those. One of the good news stories from this weekend that's come out was, of course, Brandon McGlade winning race number 2 of the weekend, round number 8. And Brandon, we chatted to you very briefly after the race. Obviously, the emotions are very high after just winning the race, and you touched very briefly on the fact that you guys have worked really hard behind the scenes to be here. We've got your dad Charlie here as well. Just elaborate a bit more about what goes on, because of course the start of the season you got, I think it was fairly late deal to come with KMR Sport. We saw you at Donington Park, you won a race there, came back at Silverstone, and then in between Silverstone and this weekend at Donington, a lot of effort just to get the funding to go racing.
Yeah, so it's just been a lot of work. Obviously, I won the GB4 Shootout, which got me on the grid for Oulton and Silverstone, and did a good job at Oulton, helped us out a fair bit, and then between Silverstone and now, just managed, got a couple of sponsors in, a lot of very generous people donated to my GoFundMe that I set up. It was a bit of a last-ditch attempt to get here, so it worked anyway. We got here, having a good weekend so far, and then just as well as that, as well as trying to hunt for sponsors and all, just working with that flat out. Working 5 or 6 days a week, just any money we can get, any minute of the day we're given, trying to earn some money towards this. Like on Wednesday, up at 5:30, went to work, got a plane over, got into my hotel at 11:30, and then hit testing on Thursday. So a lot of hard work, but pays off days like these.
Pays off on a win. And let's bring your dad in, Charlie. Charlie, it's great to see the emotion, the relationship you guys have got. Big hug after the race, but I'm sure we've seen that Brandon's working really hard behind the scenes to get here, and when he gets here, he delivers. But of course, you're helping as much as you can behind the scenes, but also must be very proud.
Oh, I mean, I was speechless. I was in tears there after that first race, because I know how hard he tries. Like there's no young boy tries harder. He's always trying, looking for sponsors, or he's on a simulator, or he's working. Like he doesn't. The young boy works 6-7 days a week. Like. He doesn't get a minute.
No, let's touch on that, because you're working. When you say working, it's it's not just getting sponsors. You're graphing hard.
Oh yeah, working hard. So at the minute, I started with a new company between here and Silverstone, and so we're working in Donegal. We're living on the east coast of Northern Ireland. We're travelling to Donegal, which is an hour. Yeah, an hour and 3/4, 2 hours there and back every day, as well as a full day's work. So it's hard, working outside, proper day's work. As far as I'm aware, I don't think there's anyone else here doing that.
No, very much not. And
We'll be getting the plane the night at 10:30. I'll not be home till about 12:30, 1 o'clock, and then we're up again at 5 on Monday morning to go to work.
Yeah.
a proper graph.
I'll be in work this time tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just makes it all worthwhile. Like we spent 2 years sleeping in the back of a transit doing the national, just racing race by race. You know what I mean? But it shows that the little man still has a chance.
Absolutely, and I think the driving skill is not in doubt. Of course, we saw you in that last race, in race 2 of the weekend, round 8 of the championship, taking a dominant win in what was tricky conditions. We very much hope to see you back on the grid. I know you're going to still be working hard behind the scenes. Is there anything that anyone at home could potentially do to help, or is there anything you want to say to help you get back on the grid for the next round and maybe the season going forward?
Mainly just sponsors. So anyone who can get the word out, ask a friend, ask someone, ask their boss. Anything anyone can do is really appreciated. And my GoFundMe's still up, so anyone who wants to help, it would be, it means the world to me. Like to see the amount of people that actually reached into their own pocket and helped, like normal people too. It was amazing. And
what's your social media so they can find where to go?
Yeah, so just Brandon McGlade on Instagram, Brandon McGlade Motorsport on Facebook, and the GoFundMe and everything else is up there.
Charlie, Brandon, thank you so much for chatting to us. We'll see how you get on at the last race of the weekend, reverse grid, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes, but we very much hope to see you back on the grid. Great to see Brandon McGlade on the grid once again, and a great result, and it's a really good news story which you just heard about there. Unfortunately, not such a good news story has been Alicia Parmosky this weekend, unfortunately. Alicia's had struggles in practice, not being where she wanted to be, struggles with the car, DNF, was it DNF in race 1? Yeah, after having stuck in 6th gear, had to come in the pits. Well, she was not classified, she did finish the race. And then, of course, we just saw in the race this morning, contact at the first lap meant that she had bent rear suspension, which meant she was struggling throughout the race. We saw her turning, turning right through all the left-hand corners throughout the race. A really unfortunate incident, but actually the incident which caused that damage was instigated by her teammate Finn Harrison, who basically the stewards deemed it to have turned into the path of Leon Wilson, which Leon then contacted with Alicia Parmosky, and Finn Harrison was actually disqualified from the race this morning, so an amendment to the results you will have seen earlier from that. It's a difficult weekend for the Elite Motorsport team, but I'm sure they'll bounce back.
Yeah, they will. I mean, I felt really bad for Alicia there because, all she was doing was minding her own business, and then she got completely caught up, and just as well, it hit her rear, didn't even hit the front. So she kept on, true racer at heart clearly, because she didn't just come in and give up. She fought, with a knife between her teeth to the end of the race, going around the outside of Craners with the car, bent out of shape like that. That was fantastic. Fantastic car control.
Great car control. And let's actually hear what Alicia had to say about that race with Naomi Newman earlier on.
You had contact in the first lap and then you suffered an issue throughout the race. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so again, another unfortunate race for me. It's really just not my weekend this weekend. All the bad luck's coming at once, I think. But yeah, lap one had a decent launch off the line, but there's a few others that had an even better launch. So I think we were 3 wide. I was fully pretty much to the left-hand side of the circuit on the racing line, heading towards turn 1. And then I felt a huge knock to my right rear tyre. And obviously I nearly actually lost the car, so I was lucky that I kept it in a straight line. But as a result of that, suffered with a huge amount of damage, which I'm not actually too sure 100% what it is yet. I've not actually spoke to the team and had a look what the issue was. My car was then crabbing throughout the whole race, so I was pretty much driving with a lot of left-hand lock-on. So very, very difficult, and I was losing 2+ seconds a lap to the front guys, so struggled a lot for pace. And I did think about bringing the car in because I didn't want to damage the car anymore, but I realised I wasn't in last, so I thought we might be able to salvage some points. So I just got my head down and did the best job I could. But I'm not too sure how I didn't have a huge crash down Craner Curves, to be honest. It was very sketchy every lap. I was holding my breath a little bit. But yeah, I've got no words really, a bit speechless with our luck, but fingers crossed for the reverse grid this afternoon.
And on about that, how are you looking forward to the next race? How much are you going to now need to prepare for that?
Well, I said this yesterday, but I genuinely believe it can't get any worse. So, yeah, we're starting 9th for the reverse grid. I know we've got the quicker drivers behind us. So, again, we've got to see what happens with the weather. We don't know whether it'll dry up, whether the rain will keep coming. So, that's obviously going to be a huge factor in our pace and what we do. Since I do feel that I almost missed out on a wet race there, with the car being as it was, I wasn't able to really understand the conditions as well as others, but I can look at my teammate Finn's data and understand what he was doing and where I can find more pace. And yeah, just fingers crossed we can go forwards really. A podium would be the aim, that'd be the nice end to the weekend, but we've just got to see what happens.
Perfect, thank you very much, Alicia. Thank you.
Yeah, difficult weekend for Alicia, but she's still staying pretty positive, which is a very important trait because we mention it all the time. GB4, it's a learning championship. It gives drivers the opportunity to get into slicks and wings racing and start their racing career, but it's really important to bounce back from difficult weekends like this, Max. But how do you do it?
It is really challenging. For Parmosky, she has done nothing wrong all weekend. It's just gone wrong for her. Getting stuck in gear in the first race and then getting collected in other people's accident in the second. That's really tough. But the fact that she's that mentally strong to sit there and go, I can't do anything about this. Yeah. All I can do is focus on the next race, and in race 2, the next corner. She just immediately, as soon as she got the damage, she was just thinking about keep up those places, damage limitation, move on for race 3, and hopefully we can see her true pace finally this weekend.
Absolutely, she came into this weekend high up in the championship. Someone who had a tricky race in that last one as well was Marcus Luzio, but things are looking good for Marcus Luzio. But we'll hear what he had to say after the race with Naomi just now.
Marcus, some tough racing out there. How did you find it?
Yeah, no, it was tough with the weather conditions. The start was quite tricky, and yeah, it's got trickier and trickier. Yeah.
And how did you find some of that wheel-to-wheel racing?
Yeah, no, it's always quite tough in the wet, showing in that one. Yeah, I think I need to develop myself in that area. But yeah, hopefully we can move forward and get a better result in the next one.
And looking forward to the next one, what are you looking to kind of have in that race?
Well, obviously it's a reverse grid, so hopefully we can pick them off one by one and get up there, and yeah, that's the main aim.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Good to see Marcus Luzio. I'll hear from him just after that race. But we're going to be seeing quite a bit more from Marcus, not just in the race coming up in a moment, because I've got the boss of Hill Speed here, Richard Lawrenshaw. Richard, why are we going to be seeing more of Marcus?
Marcus has graduated to our GB3 team as of next weekend at Spa.
So we're going to be seeing Marcus making the step up mid-season between GB4 and GB3, which is great to see because GB4 is the first rung on the ladder, potentially to Formula 1, but GB3 is the next step, and he tested the car with you guys recently, clearly enjoyed it. Why have you got an interest in Marcus, and why is Marcus joining you for at least Spa?
Marcus has done an exceptional job from the moment that he ran at Donington Park and he joined the Hill Speed team for Silverstone. From there we came here to do some testing with him, did one session in the GB4, we'd got the GB3 with us, elected to put him out in that. He had a fantastic test, so we're just going to build on that, and I think it was Marcus and his family's original idea to get his licence upgraded during the course of 2024 with a view to looking at GB3 for 2025. It's just happened half a season early for him.
Hey, what an absolute bonus. I'm sure he'll very much enjoy that. But for now, it's just Spa, but is there a view to him potentially doing some more?
Yeah, he's looking at doing the races that he will have done already in GB4, which is back to Silverstone at end of July, and then back to Donington in September, and then Brands Hatch GP, the testing is limited for everybody. If we can dot some I's and cross some T's, we hope that we might have him at Hungaro Ring and Zandvoort.
Wow, that would be amazing. It would be great to see him on the grid. Richard, thank you very much for joining us. I'll let you go and get you going, prep with the team, and get Marcus ready for his GB4 race, which he's still got one more to do. Max, that's a good news story. Just quickly, what's it like to get that bump up?
Oh, it's extremely exciting, and from what I heard as well, in the second race, as you said, it looked like he struggled, but actually he knew he had to finish the race to get the signature to be able to go to GB3. So that's why I was a little bit cautious there. He was just thinking, I've just got to survive this to be at Spa next week. But now that's over. He doesn't need it. He's got the signatures. One race to go. This is it. It's his last race in GB4. I think he's going to have some fun here.
Oh, I'm sure he's going to have some fun. Reverse grid race. We know he's been quick at different points. Someone else who's been very quick this weekend and recently, of course, is the man that managed to go 4 races on the trot, winning. Didn't quite get the 5th in a row. Linus Granfors. Naomi caught up with him after the race this morning.
So, Linus, a really interesting race for you out there. Do you want to tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, it was slippery. I think I did a bad start, so I fell down to P4, I think, and then I just started to trying to catch up to Burgoyne, and then I did a mistake into turn 4, so I think I lost 2 or 3 seconds. And then when Burgoyne went off, then I was P3 again, so I was just trying to get that P3, and into the second last corner I just went off, and then I think I finished P5, so it was a decent race.
Was there anything that you'd kind of do differently if you're out there again?
Yeah, maybe don't stall the start maybe, and I think we can do some changes in the car as well.
And what have you learned from this one into the next one, looking forward to that?
Yeah, I think I only have driven this car one time before in rain, so it's new for me to drive this car in rain, so I think that maybe we get some overtakes in the last race.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Not quite having the pace in the damp race this morning did Linus that he showed in the dry at both Silverstone and also in the first race this weekend at Donington. What do you reckon that could be, Max? It's just him not quite getting the car in tyres. What do you reckon?
Could be a mixture of things. It's quite, Donington is a challenge, and as well, from some parts of the circuit, it was a lot wetter than it was at others, so it could be a combination of things. Maybe just struggled to get tyres up to temperature in those 2 warm-up laps, and once that hampers you, you'll then, everyone else is coming up, everyone's effectively a lap or 2 ahead of you, or maybe it's not used to the style he's used. It's been very dry actually, the races that we've had so far. I think autumn was a little bit wet. Could be a lot of different things, but he wasn't actually slow. He's still up there fighting in the top 5, and he put on a great show. Between him, Burgoyne, Harrison, a little bit of luck came his way there with Harrison getting disqualified. Means he got 4th instead of 5th, so he didn't lose too many points to Harry Burgoyne there. But I think now he'll be thinking, right, perfect time to make up points. You get a point for every position you make up in this reverse grid race, and he's starting dead last. So
a lot of positions to gain potentially, so a lot of bonus points. It's one of his teammates actually had a good race that last one. Jack Taylor, and Naomi also caught up with him after the race this morning.
So some decent points for you out there. How did you find it?
Yeah, I found it good. I think we got the car set up right and I found a lot of pace. So yeah, I was just making my way up the grid and I was trying to get into 7th at the end, but yeah, I just didn't want to make a mistake and ruin the race, so yeah.
And some really good racing. How did you find that wheel-to-wheel action?
Yeah, I think it was fun. I think I had a pretty different line to everyone else that I was around, so yeah, I think it was, yeah, it was pretty good overtakes, yeah.
And what will you take into the next race this afternoon?
I'll probably try and get a good lead, I guess, because it's a reverse grid. I was starting 3rd, so yeah, I'll try and get away from everyone as much as I can, basically, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
It still leads the championship, and it says a lot, Max, when you touched on it a moment ago, that a bad race for him is 5th on the road. You know, it's a good championship, and you're someone who knows about consistency. Mr. Consistency last season. Consistency does win you championships.
Yeah, it does, but you know, annoyingly for Grand Force, Harry's been extremely consistent as well. You know, he's always there in the top 5. You know, always putting in big points. And again, we're talking about bouncing back from a difficult weekend. You'd argue he had a difficult day yesterday, getting 5th or 6th. You know, still up there, but bounces back the next day, beats his championship rival, gets another podium. Here we go again in the reverse grid race. He starts, I think, a couple places up from Grand Force, so he'll know if I can get a couple cars in between us from this start, I can then keep coming through the grid. It's quite a funny thing, reverse grid race, because everyone who's starting in front of you, you know, did a slower time in qualifying. So, but everyone starting exactly behind you did a faster time. So you just think, if I can just keep being 1 or 2 cars ahead, you know, they won't be able to get to me.
Yeah, that's the thing, and it comes together in the reverse grid race, but it's also coming together nicely in the championship. Brandon McCacken closing the gap to Harry Burgoyne, and Harry Burgoyne closing the gap to Linus Granfus. So for those of you watching at home, we're setting up nicely for a championship battle. We're in the final countdown towards the race now as the British GT race behind us is coming to a close. So why don't we have a look at the circuit that we're racing on this weekend in a bit more detail, and then I'll run through an onboard lap with you from Alicia Parmosky.
So then to Donington Park on the Leicestershire-Derbyshire border. Of course, some of the most fantastic corners in British motorsport. Redgate, the run down the Craner curves, up through the old hairpin, overtaking opportunities at McLean's and Coppice, and that little back stretch down towards the Fogarty S, and then into the tight hairpin at the Melbourne hairpin. Of course, that final turn at Goddard's also is an excellent overtaking opportunity, back onto the Wheatcroft Straight and down towards turn 1 at Redgate. One of the most notable features around this circuit is, of course, the elevation over the 2.5 miles, around about 4 kilometres around this circuit. It sees 35.8 metres of elevation, most notably down at the old hairpin as we climb back up the hill around the 12 turns. So much great racing can happen here at Donington Park.
Let's ride on board with Alicia Parmosky in her bright yellow Elite Motorsport GB4 car. First corner, Redgate coming up. Open up the entry by using all of the pit entry on the left-hand side, and then nip back to the apex in the middle of the corner. Watch out for oversteer on the exit and stay on the red and white curves. Track limits is going to be important in both qualifying and the races. The right-hander of Hollywood leads into the downhill fast left-hander of the Craner curves. Stay left to open up the full commitment old hairpin. Bit of curb on the entry, watch out for track limits again on the exit. We're now headed back uphill through Schwantz, opening up the corner, just trying to reduce any scrubbing. And again, stay left to open up McLean's. Off camber and drops away at the exit. The car can easily go light and force you wide. Next up, Coppice. Again, stay left, use the curb on the inside, completely blind on entry. You have to commit to the corner before you can see where you're going. Now we're on the exhibition straight. A moment to breathe and think about the braking point for Fogarty S's coming up next. Over to the right-hand side, use a little bit of curb on the right to open up the left, quickly right, watch out for the bumps through the middle of the right-hander, it can throw you off if you hit those incorrectly. Now into the final sector, 2 hairpins, the first, the right-hander of the Melbourne Loop. Braking late and deep, getting a late apex for good traction out of this corner, all of the road on the exit once again. 1 corner to go now, Goddard's. Opening up the corner, staying all the way to the right-hand side, turning in fairly early to make sure you hook the curb on the inside as Alicia does there to get good rotation in the middle of the corner and then concentrate on good traction for the exit. That is a lap of the Donington Park Grand Prix circuit. Thank you very much, Lewis, for taking us through the track in a bit more detail there. Donington Park Grand Prix circuit, a great circuit to be racing on. We get to come here twice this year, which is lovely. Max, you are ever astute, and you were talking to me a moment ago about the tyre situation. Talk to us.
So basically, again, similar to yesterday, they've got a choice. So if you can go new tyres on one side, so the guys who didn't go new tyres yesterday have the option of doing it today. However, the circuit is quite damp out there, and we've got a shorter race. It's going to be a 15-minute race. The new tyres take longer to fire up because they take longer to fire up, it's whether you can get the benefit at the end. Rather, if you have a scrubbed set of tyres, that basically will give you that little bit more at the start. So the thought of some teams will be going into this thinking, well, if we can optimise the start, shorter race, you won't be able to get the new tyres up by the end to really get the benefit from it. So looking around, if people want to watch out for drivers on either or, Grand Force looks like he's got a new set on, McNeely does as well. All the KMRs are unscrubbed. Luzio's unscrubbed, the GBR team are unscrubbed. Quite hard
Fox
to see
Motorsport
here.
look like they've got 2 new tyres on the outside.
Yeah, it looks like all Fox have gone new on the outside.
So it's great to hear the driver's perspective in the terms that the newer tyres take longer to come in, but when they come in, they're faster. But for the people at home, basically, what that means, right, is that the people who have gone for the newer tyres might be faster at the end of the race, potentially?
Yes, exactly that. So they should be really strong from about lap 5, 6 onwards, but they should struggle in the opening laps, especially since, as I say, circuit's a bit damper out there, and weather reports are absolutely crazy at the minute. We don't know if it's going to be dry, wet. I know it's looking bright and sunny at the minute, but it was bright and sunny before it downpoured an hour ago.
Well, you say that, Max. I can see some blue sky right behind us there, but if we look directly above our head, there's a nice angry cloud.
That's a
really
dark
angry cloud coming over. So it might not even stay. It might not even stay dry. Looking forward to the race. Max, last race of the weekend. A lot of drivers out with something to prove. We've spoken to Marcus Luzio, of course, may well be his last race in GB4. We've heard about the story for Brandon McCacken, who won that last race, struggling to get on the grid this weekend, just about making it. Who knows? It may be his last race of the week in GB4. We hope not, because it would be great to see him continue that fight up the championship this weekend. Who's ones to watch in your eyes in this race, Max?
It's a tough one. It is a tough one. Everyone's so close this year, which is so exciting. I think obviously Pomalski, she's got a lot to prove. That this weekend she's got to put it all behind her, really try and maximise this result. Both the GBR cars, one starting on pole. Bax has been very quick all weekend. He showed that in the wet race. I think you've got to look at Grand Force, mega pace in the dry yesterday. So he'll be coming through. Luzio's last race in GB4, he's got nothing to lose.
Hey, it seems like it's going to be a good race, Max. Well, let's get into it, shall we? The cars are about to head out onto the grid. So for the final time this weekend, round 9 of GB4 is coming up next. Oh, in fact, in a moment. It'll be coming up very, very shortly. Of course, just before we head up to the race, hey, the standing start is a big part of the race weekend. We've seen some issues with standing starts actually throughout the season, and a lot of the drivers who are new to the championship have to get that right. Another driver who's new to the championship who's doing an excellent job is Dan Hickey.
So Dan, you got a 10-second time penalty out there. How did you find that race?
The race was all right. Made a little mistake at the start, which let Jack past, and then Megan as well. But was catching up towards the end. Made a couple of good overtakes especially around the outside of Coppice on Megan. There was catching Luzio at the end as well. But just literally we were side by side going over the line. One more lap maybe would have got past. But yeah, shame about the 10-second penalty. Yeah, it is what it is.
And how did you find that wheel-to-wheel action?
It was good fun. It was good fun finding where the grip is, especially in the wet, going around the outside of some of the corners. Got to be a bit braver in the wet as well. But no, it's all good fun.
And what will you take into this race this afternoon?
Well, we're starting P2 in the afternoon, so see what the weather does first. If it stays dry, it'll be more like yesterday. Obviously, if it's wet, we've got the experience now in the first race. So yeah, we're going to do our best and see what we can achieve.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Good to see Dan continually moving forward, making progress. He made some good moves in that last race, actually, and considering he's got very little car racing experience, tricky wet conditions like that, moves outside and inside, that's the sort of thing that a lot of these drivers get used to in karting. Dan, not much karting experience, really, so, impressive to see.
Yeah, exactly. He's building that foundation blocks, and he'll keep building and keep building. Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll really see that progress hit out, and it'll be more in that mid-pack to the front pack. But yeah, he's done testing over the winter. He's been really, prepping himself, and it's really nice to see as well, like people coming in. Everyone says that, going into Formula single-seater racing, you have to be really young. You don't. You can be that bit older and come in and make a name for yourself, and I think he's really showing that.
Absolutely. Let's have a wander and have a look at the cars just before they go out onto the grid, and we can see that. Max, just have a look at the tyres, shall we? Look, you can see these 2 new left-hand side tyres look a little bit different, don't they? There's a lot more tread depth on there, and that's that shiny bit on the tyre. That's what the drivers have to try and get off to get the tyres fired up, right?
Exactly. That's what's going to be crucial on the outlap for anyone who's on new tyres. I mean, crucial anyway to get tyres up to 10, but it's going to be especially hard if you do have a new tyre on that left side. This circuit is mostly right-hand corners, so it works the left side more.
Yeah.
There's only 2 left-handers, I believe, so that basically means you got a lot of corners to really try and get them in. But it's so crucial to get that tyres up to 10 as early as possible to have a chance to buy the scrub tyres at the start of the race and give yourself a chance at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Also, one thing that might be worth considering, Max, is while we move out of the way as the car's about to go on the grid, it's been wet, so the drivers might have to work a bit extra hard as the track temperatures are lower. But seeing as the cars are firing up, let's try this again. Final race of the weekend, round 9 of the GB4 Championship in 2024. Let's go racing.
And so for the last race of what has been an exciting weekend, we head once more to Donington Park. After an excellent season thus far at Alton Park and Silverstone, the first race of the Donington Park weekend marked the 1/3 way of the 2024 Championship. After this, we'll be heading to Snetterton a little bit later on in the year, then back to Silverstone before we return to Donington Park for the penultimate weekend, and then back down to Brands Hatch to West Kingsdown in Kent to end the season. Should be an exciting one, but again, to focus here at Donington Park, 2 races down. The first one being won by Grand Force, the second one, that emotional victory from McGlade. And of course, a little bit of a swing in the championship, less aggressive, courtesy of the disqualification from Finn Harrison on that race start down towards Redgate, where things got very narrow indeed. Saw some excellent moves, like down into the old hairpin, a couple of bits of drama coming up towards the Fogarty S, and of course the moves into the Melbourne hairpin. Baxter's been the one to make up the most positions down into there today. Goddard's got some moves on the very last lap in the previous race, including that one from Finn Harrison getting past Grand Force. Of course, it didn't really count at the end, as we'll take a look once more at the elevation round here. 35.8 metres, most of that is done in the drop down the hill once you come through Redgate, dropping all the way down to the old hairpin. I think the highest point of the race circuit, though, is around the back of the Starkey stretch, Starkey Straight down towards Coppice, where things do rise up a little bit more. Might even be back around before Goddard's, actually, as the formation lap will begin once more. And of course, this is the reverse grid. If you haven't joined us for GB4 before, basically in qualifying, everyone sets their time, and then this is the reverse of those. So the driver who got pole position, i.e. Grand Force, will start from the rear of the field, all the way back there, which should be pretty interesting to see if he can work up. 15 positions to gain up. You never know, might be able to do it and grab a victory. A lot of drivers with a lot to put on the line here as they work their way down the Craner curves. We'll take a look at the starting grid though. Mayor D and Noreen will start from pole position with Dan Hickey alongside. Those two have been battling for the previous couple of races, and they'll make it 3 from 3, I'm absolutely sure. Jack Taylor in third, with Megan Bruce starting from 4th position. Behind this though is where maybe we see some of the drivers that can definitely contend for this victory. Brandon Templeton in 5th position, Chloe Grant in 6th position, starting there for the KMR Sport car. Leon Wilson will start from 7th place, with Callum Baxter starting from 8th. Obviously his teammate is the one that starts from the reverse grid pole. Palmovsky looking to make something special happen this weekend, having a bit of drama in the first couple of races. We'll start alongside teammate Finn Harrison. Hopefully no contact between the pair of those this time on the race start. Harry Burgoyne Jr. second in the championship, looking to make a move, especially as he starts alongside Marcus Lucy, who absolutely has nothing to lose, looking to move on to fresher things in the weeks to come. Liam McNeely will start from 13th position. Brandon McCacken, race winner in race 2 of this weekend, and round 8 of the championship, will start from 14th position. And then right from the rear of the field, it is championship leader Linus Granfors for the Fortec team, a 4-time winner in 2024. Lewis McGlade and Piers Pryor to take you through the final race of the weekend. It's dry out there, but the clouds are overhead, and it looks like with the wind direction, it looks like it's bringing a few more clouds overhead as well.
Yeah, the wind has actually moved around a little bit. It's almost sort of coming to the left of the drivers going over the start-finish line. And as we mentioned on the assembly area there with Max Marzorati, it's I don't think it's been one weather or one season for more than about 45 minutes today. It goes from bright sunshine and I need to take my coat off to throwing it down, and then it's cold and it's windy and then it brightens up again. We're in a little bright stage at the moment, so that'll be good for those drivers on with two brand new tyres that they put on the left-hand side that Max and I were chatting about on the grid. But you can still see in the shot there, if you look at the foreground, still wet patches, especially offline.
And this is the kind of conditions where it's been raining quite a lot today. If you touch the grass basically at all, you will be in trouble. Let's put it that way. So don't go anywhere near the grass. Keep it nicely on the road surface. Easier said than done, especially with the type of combat that we deal with here in GB4. This is going to be a tough race between the top grouping. Very quickly, who's your pick for victory?
Oh, I was going to ask you the same, Lewis. I'm going to go with Brandon Templeton.
Oh, good shout. Oh, that feels a bit weird. No, I'm going to go Finn Harrison, actually. Why not? Let's see, though. We've got 15 minutes onto the clock. The lights are about to come on, and we'll get racing down towards Redgate for the final time this weekend. Round 9 of GB4 is underway as we head our way down towards the first corner. Great start from Dean Areen. Look at the number 50, though, of Jack Taylor going side by side. Brandon Templeton, your pick for the victory, straight down the inside, and that 24 for Fox Motorsports. As he makes the move, goes side by side for second position. Great start for Dean Areen as he leads his way down through the Craner curves.
Is that Linus Granfors has already made up 2 positions at the start, and it is Brandon Templeton into second position, so a great start from him. We string down the Craner curves, fanning out as we go towards the old hairpin. A couple of little wobbles in the midfield, but no contact so far.
I said Finn Harrison, I think he stalled. He is right off the rear end of the train. Sorry, mate. That is poor luck from him and the Elite Motorsports team. Wilson, there he is. Sorry, mate. I won't take any credit for that. The commentator's curse doesn't exist. There's plenty of side-by-side ahead of him, though, and to be fair, right back into the slipstream can absolutely gain from all this. Side-by-side, or a little bit of a battle between the two Vortex. This is further down the order. The number 16 of Linus Granfors moving up. He's already moved up 4 positions as Granfors. Might well be just about getting himself inside the top 10 as it's 2, nearly 3 wide going down to the Fogarty S.
Look at this. This is GB4 racing at its best. Side by side going into the Fogarty S's. A little lock up at the front of the field from Megan Bruce, but that's Brandon McCacken making his way through. A great start from our championship leader in the red and white with the yellow helmet. Number 16, Linus Granfors on the right of shot at the moment. We're seeing the number 21, Palmowski, making you move up the inside, Lewis.
He's gone up 6 positions. He's ahead of 6 people. We start from the rear of the field. He's already 9th. That's absolutely incredible, which, considering we're in a slightly shorter race, courtesy of the delay through the day, as there is Leon Wilson in the 27 locking up. He's not got much time to work his way through the order, doing a fantastic job already, as I think that might have been Chloe Grant having a bit of a slide there, side by side in the 66 with the number 27 of Leon Wilson. Chloe Grant on the outside heading into the first corner. Ahead of that, though, Dan Hickey defends from Alicia Palmowski into that first turn. Palmowski in the bright yellow. Battle for the race lead, though. Templeton, your pick has already got through. Have you got an inside knowledge here?
No, just an absolute racing guru, Lewis. Joking. Brandon Templeton's had an excellent start, jumped a whole row on the way to the first corner, got into second place, and Templeton's had on average, has been faster than Maya Dionarine this weekend. Dionarine is still moving up and getting closer and closer to the front of the field pace, but he's actually going to be a good opportunity for the number 44 white car that we're seeing there of Dionarine to watch Templeton and see what he's doing. But we've still got loads of fighting in this group here for the lower end of the top 10.
Yeah, indeed. Absolutely classic reverse grid racing action here. Don't count out Callum Baxter, who's actually had some decent pace. Currently running in 4th position of the number 45 Graham Bunton racing car. Could well get himself into the podium. Here comes the move then. Harry Burgoyne Jr., championship leaders, so first and second in the championship. Having a battle here. The number 16 remaining behind. That is Granfors. And of course, he is the championship leader. There is a look at Marcus Lucio in the dark blue. Just trying to side his way through, but he's actually second last at the moment, I'm afraid.
Megan Bruce making a move on the inside of our championship leader. Go on, Megan, and giving him a hip and shoulder on the way out. That's great racing to see that Megan has come from, a very little single-seater experience and now making a move on our championship lead, so potentially moving back. Still more drama, another lock-up we saw.
Yeah, that was Hickey. That was Dan Hickey locking up in the Fortec car. He was running in 5th position. I think he might have just dropped 1 to Palmowski. Still got the likes of Harry Burgoyne Jr. behind. Brandon Templeton, race leader, sets the fastest lap of the race. You can see the dirty tyres there for Linus Granfors as they're side by side ahead of him. Might pick up a position here, working his way down the hill. It was Megan Bruce going side by side just a touch, as there's even more side by side, and I think that might have been Chloe Grant sneaking her way through.
No, is that Chloe Grant? No, that's Brandon McCacken. Brandon McCacken has made his way through. Oh, McGlade goes wide at the old hairpin, gets 2 wheels onto the dirt and gets bumped into the air. We're nearly 3 wide going through Starkeys.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with, ladies and gents. That was Liam McNeely with a yellow highlighted car getting squeezed out wide going through Starkeys. Now remains side by side with the 66 of Chloe Grant. Back up to Dan Hickey in 6th position. 11 minutes left to go in the race. There is still plenty of time. 1 second separates the top 2, but you just cannot take your eyes off of all of this. Dan Hickey running in 6th position. That is Harry Burgoyne Jr. defending for 7th in the number 68 car from Leon Wilson in the blacker or dark blue and white Arden car.
Leon Wilson's having a good race this time out. He's struggled had an issue in the last one, of course, due to that contact at the start caused by Finn Harrison. But he's moving on and pushing on. His tyres will be in a better position or better shape than anyone else's because of that DNF in the last race. We're seeing Palmowski looking around the outside of Jack Taylor now, going for the switchback. Can she get that done? Potentially sizing up for a move into turn 1, while Jack Taylor's also trying to put a move on Callum Baxter.
Yeah, she's having the best best round of this weekend, which isn't really saying much, unfortunately. She did say she couldn't get much worse. As there she goes down the inside, Alicia Palmowski making the move on the number 50 Jack Taylor. So up to 4th position for Palmowski, running a little wide at T1, but nothing too major. I did notice, by the way, just very quickly, I did see McCacken obviously has quite a lot of grass in the front in the left side pod. So a lot of grass in there. That's not going to help his cooling.
No, generally these cars, if you run off onto the grass and the grass cuttings go into the radiators, the engine could start to overheat and effectively the electronics protect itself from overheating by basically reducing the power. So if he starts slowing down, maybe you'll see that.
Actually looked okay there, but that was a head-on shot. We're not actually seeing the light actually getting through because this is where the direction they are, science or something, I don't know. But either way, McCacken, I think, might have a couple of problems. I mean, you could probably see it from this angle. Yeah, you can see how much that's blocked on the right-hand side. It's about the 3rd, 5th car back where you've got the 89. A lot of green in the left side. So not ideal for the KMR Sport driver as he absolutely throws it through.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm impressed with? Is Linus Granfors. Obviously, the epic start. Actually, let's talk about that in a minute as we've still got a battle going on between Hickey and Wilson.
Yeah, indeed. So Hickey to the outside, opening the door. That is Harry Burgoyne Jr. working his way past potentially, but can't get past the white and red of Dan Hickey at the moment, who is just desperately trying to hang on. He had his best result, obviously, in that round last year where he looked very impressive, as now Linus Granfors defending from McCacken. So a couple of switches in all this. Hickey does like the circuit, but I think he might like it a little bit less. Behind Harry Burgoyne Jr. Here comes Harry Burgoyne Jr. to the inside into Redgate at T1, and that will be the move complete for the 68. Dan Hickey, will he jump out of the way for his teammate, though?
Oh, I don't know about that. I think it's all every man for themselves out there, but generally Granfors has been the faster of the teammates at Fortec this season, so Hickey probably won't put up too much of a fight if Granfors goes up the inside just like that. Although the move's not quite done yet. Still side by side they go through Starkeys.
I think there'll be 6 laps, by the way, after this. There's still plenty of time, as that'll be Linus Granfors working his way past. That was a bit of a brave move, but like I say, it was fought fairly hard, as there comes a little of a look. McCacken sending it to the inside of the 17 as well. Almost thought he was going to do something about Linus Granfors, but he just has to deal with the fight between himself and Hickey. Liam McNeely sat behind in the 49 Fox Motorsport car, can't find his pathway further up the order. So at the moment, that's where all the fighting is. It's really in this mid-pack, and it is with Liam Wilson, who's in 6th spot, side by side between the top 2 in the championship.
Yeah, Granfors looking on the outside of the Fogarty S's, which is never going to work unless you get ahead by the first apex, but more probably just trying to put Granfors offline into that corner, but couldn't quite get that done as Hickey goes around the outside, looking to get past his team or at least defend from Burgoyne, from McCacken. McCacken in that dark grey and blue car. They're going side by side still into Goddard's, the last corner on the lap, as Burgoyne looks around the outside of Wilson now.
Yeah, there's no way that was going to work at Goddard's, but it's more about setting up this run onto the Wheatcroft straight. Once again, looking to the inside, as he had done on Dan Hickey the previous lap. Granfors straight over because he wants to take the advantage through the corner, carry all of that speed, and maybe make a move on Burgoyne Jr. down into the old hairpin. Does he have the run? I think they're all pretty equal off the corner. Back up the field, though, to Callum Baxter, who's ahead of his team. Oh, sorry, he's behind his teammate, Dean Areen at the moment. So Dean Areen in the 44, then it's Callum Baxter in the 45, and then Palmowski in in fourth position rather at the moment in the number 21 bright yellow Elite Motorsport car.
Yeah, Baxter and Pomoski have driven onto the back of Dionarine, who had a bit of a gap and almost probably about, 8/10 of a lap faster than Dionarine in that last lap. So these two are going to be applying the pressure very heavily, and that is our leader, Brandon Templeton, who's absolutely romped away at the front of the field. 4.7 seconds was the gap over the line last time. It will probably extend this lap as the two GBR cars fight him, and Pomoski looks to make take any benefit she can from this situation.
The only thing that will catch Templeton out here is complacency. If he kind of thinks more about like, oh, I'm winning the races, here comes Palmovski, definitely no complacency for her, straight down the inside in the 21, can't quite make the move on Baxter as they go through the hairpin. That's, to be fair, that's Callum Baxter's position to make moves in this race, so this weekend, Palmovski not able to do that one, looking to the outside, then will cut back to the inside as they work their way through the final corner. Could have a decent run here, could Palmovski, down towards Redgate.
Yeah, now Baxter's having to defend. Pomoski potentially could have waited and tried to just follow Baxter through, because they know that they've both got the pace on Dionarine ahead, whereas at the moment, with Pomoski applying pressure and trying to overtake Baxter, Dionarine's been given a second chance at keeping that second place.
Is that going to be moved down the hill? Well, we have seen it a few times this weekend, including, to be fair, from Palmovski herself when she was defending with that broken rear suspension in the previous race, where she did such a good job. Now she's got a car pointing all in the right direction, and she's using it as best she can to maybe grab the podium.
Yeah, but it looks like she got a really poor exit out of the old hairpin there, like more than you would expect even from just a poor exit. So I'm hoping that no gremlins are coming out of the woodwork in terms of that car, because it's allowed Baxter a bit of breathing room to reapply the pressure on his teammate. Baxter in the number 45, just behind the number 44 of Dionarine. That is the battle you're looking at right now between the two white cars for second place. Baxter looked up the inside of the Fogarty S's.
Lovely move, absolutely beautiful from Baxter. Well read from Dionarine, must be said, but it could be a slow exit for the Graham Brunton racing car of Dionarine coming down into the hairpin. Palmovski will look to the outside in the number 21, and she'll try and make a move for third position at the moment, but great defensive drive coming in from Dionarine, but the up and under could work in favour of Palmovski. Lovely stuff as they're side by side towards the final corner. 3 laps to go once they cross the line this time by. Here is the fight for third position. So Dionarine goes out a little bit wide, still holds on to third. That is a beautiful cutback from Palmovski, well read, and she'll move up into third position. It's not quite done yet, but nearly complete.
Yeah, there we go. That was the double cutback. You don't often see a cutback successful out of the Melbourne hairpin, but Palmovski made Dionarine defend into the Melbourne hairpin. She then got the cutback, which then made Dionarine defend into the Goddard's the last corner and got a second cutback and effectively drove past on the straight. And Lewis, we know the safest place to overtake is on the straight, and ultimately, as much as Alicia Palmovski wants a good race, a good result in this race, she wants a safe race as well, and she's up to third place.
Grand Force dropping backwards even. So Liam McNeely's worked past Grand Force as they're side by side between the two Graham Brunton racing cars. It's McCacken ahead of Harry Burgoyne Jr. So Harry Burgoyne Jr. here going around the outside in the 68. Whoa. McCacken in the 89 with a bit of a slide. Oh, there's a crash in the background. It's Chloe Grant off into the gravel for yet another race. Obviously, she had an issue back in Silverstone in the final race of the weekend. That car might well be stuck. There could be a safety car coming out to end this race here, and Harry Burgoyne Jr. has got through. Here comes McNeely.
Oh, we're not done yet. We saw a big slide through McLean's from McCacken. That's Chloe Grant who's trying to get going, but not going to be able to get it done. But this fight continues on between our two remaining KMR Sport drivers of McCacken with the orange helmet and Burgoyne with the yellow flashes on his helmet. As we see, that is our championship leader of Grand Force in the white number 16 going up the inside of the 49 of Liam McNeely. That fight's still going on. McCacken is pointing and gesturing at his teammate to go forward, eyes forward, to try and get away from the group behind us. Still side by side are McNeely and Granfus.
Which you've got to respect the heads-up driving there from McCacken. If he is saying that to his teammate to basically just keep your eyes on the road ahead, focus on what you're doing, not what I'm doing. He's there trying to play the team game. They're trying to speed up getting rid of Chloe Grant's car. No requirement for a safety car just yet. As big out wide goes Linus Granfus. It's going to cost him a position to Marcus Luzio as well.
Yeah, that was an optimistic move around the outside of Redgate for Granfus, and ended up being sort of sliding wide and putting 2 wheels on the gravel, and nearly had an accident all on his own. But red flag has been called, and with 2 minutes remaining, Lewis, that is almost certainly going to be the end of the race. So wow, what an action-packed 13 minutes of GB4 racing we had. We will go back a lap So that will still definitely be Templeton, but I don't know where that will leave the rest of the order.
Yeah, indeed. Of course, with I mean, I think they'll come across the line. I actually don't know what the regulation here is. Like you say, it should go back a lap. We'll update you as soon as we can on that one. One thing we do know is the position that's not up for any question is this one, Brandon Templeton. No doubts in their mind that Brandon Templeton is the winner of this race. Absolutely dominant through this one. A fantastic drive from him and a very well-deserved victory, it must be said, as he'll work his way through again. The marshal's out to say, get into the pit lane and into Park Ferme. Interviews might be a little bit delayed because Piers has literally just run off down there. So we'll have to wait and see what their reactions are like once they jump out of the car. But what a drive from Brandon Templeton. Absolutely incredible. Callum Baxter and Alicia Palmovsky should be first, second and third as well. So solid effort there. Dia Nareen should be in fourth position as we'll see those positions switch around. But no surprise that there was a red flag there because they're sat there looking at it being like, look, either they were going to have to deploy the safety car, at which point if they deploy the safety car, the race is going to end on the safety car as well, so why waste the extra lap? We all know that that was going to be the order of the race, so you might as well end it there. And because they'd already completed a lap after Chloe Grant had already been off, it still kind of works as it would be if there was a safety car anyway. So a smart move there from race control just to basically get that one over and done with. But again, you can't doubt the drive there, the fantastic performance from Brandon Templeton. He'll be very excited once he jumps out of the car. He was actually the first driver I spoke to on Media Day this year, and what an excellent conversation it was. Yeah, great lad, great heads-up driver. Obviously still fairly new to the world of slicks and wings, as you expect from this kind of level at GB4, but showing an excellent talent. As much as there's this whole thing of, it's a reverse grid victory, I mean, the way he drove in that race, reverse grid, normal grid, whatever, it just doesn't matter. That's just how dominant it was. So, of course, Templeton straight out of the car and saying hello to everyone. I'm sure, mum, dad, all that kind of stuff around, jumping over, engineers, team managers, etc. A lot of people to say hello to straight afterwards. Callum Baxter, obviously out of the car as well for a very solid result for Graham Brunton Racing, who we do know are a solid team within the in the GB4 Championship. We've seen them quite a lot when it comes to battling, of course, with Harry Burgoyne Jr. even during last year. The likes of Chloe Grant, Logan Hanna as well, race winner back in 2022. Feels like forever ago now. But good to see Fox Motorsports and Brandon Templeton on top. Just curious to see what this kind of does for the championship. Linus Granfors, I'm going to say in that race, he didn't look great, didn't look confident, it looked amazing for the first lap. Like for the first 5 corners, looked absolutely incredible. But then afterwards, just kind of seemed to drop off a little bit. Maybe it's just tyre pressure. We're kind of discussing that a little bit in the previous race. Maybe it's something else. Who knows? There is Palmovsky out of the car, and gotta say, I'm liking seeing her on the podium after what has been a very difficult weekend for Palmovsky, considering the results. Obviously, you had the issues in race 1, you had the damage in race 2, the issues in qualifying, in practice, didn't really have the pace and the balance of the car. That is it's a nice sight to see her doing so well. This is a first podium as well for Callum Baxter. For Brandon Templeton, he was on the podium in race 2 at Alton Park, as there's a good-looking man down in Park Ferme to have a little chat with our top 3.
Brandon, as we were sitting on the grid, Lewis asked me, who do you reckon is going to win this race? I said Brandon Templeton. It must feel pretty good to get a win this weekend.
Oh yeah, it feels amazing, especially after such a hard weekend, incidents in both races, and it feels even better like that. Yeah.
What a start though. You literally jumped about 3 cars in the start, got behind Mayer, and at that point was it like, I'm going to win this?
Yeah, I had my eyes set as soon as I got past turn 1. I only saw 1 car left, and as soon as I got ahead, I just managed the gap, and came out first. So.
We saw you go and the team come and congratulate you straight away. Fox Motorsport working really hard behind the scenes. It must be good to win as a team and move up, because I know you mentioned it's been a difficult weekend for yourself.
Yeah, it feels amazing. Of course, especially after a hard weekend, no luck at all. something good came out of the bad, so it was great. Yeah.
And I assume going to use that to push on for the rest of the season.
For sure, definitely.
Brandon, congratulations. I'll let you continue your celebrations with the team before we do the podium. Let's grab a word with our second place driver. Where is our second place driver? Callum Baxter. If we can grab a word with Callum, that would be great. Callum, come on over. Callum, we've chatted to you quite a lot this weekend, but good to chat to you on the podium this time. Yeah. Callum, great race from yourself. Just sum up what you're feeling right now.
Yeah, just really happy. Starting the weekend off with qualifying, I wasn't super happy with where I qualified, and then race 1, race 2, I felt like each race got better, and I was able to execute in this race, so I'm really happy.
Great work from yourself, but also the team. Also, Mayer was right up there. You had a good fight with him as well. What was that like?
Oh, that was awesome to be battling with Mayer right up at the front. Yeah.
And I think a really good race from Mayer, actually. He showed an excellent pace.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We'll catch up with Mayer in a little bit. Congratulations, Callum. We'll let you go and celebrate with the team. And a very good race for good news stories, that one. I'm hoping to grab a word with Alicia Parmosky, who's just over there, so I'm going to try and grab her attention. We move over towards Alicia and see if we can do that. Alicia, of course, we spoke to her, had a really tricky weekend, issues over testing, DNF in race number 1, then issues with the damage in race number 2. Alicia, it's okay, you're allowed to celebrate with the team after such a difficult weekend. We've spoken about it a lot, lots of things going against you. Finally, in race 3, you put in an excellent performance. You must be over the moon.
Oh, buzzing, yeah, absolutely. It's the best end to the weekend we could have hoped for. We needed that result, both myself and the team, for our mental health, I think, after this weekend. But no, just really buzzing. It was the most we could have hoped for. We made a little mistake when I was going for Callum, so we lost a bit of time there. So potentially a few more minutes, a few more laps, we might have been able to challenge for second. But overall, it's great championship points, and just happy to be on the podium.
It looked like a really good fun race out there.
Absolutely, I loved it. We didn't really know what we were going to get ahead of the race. Obviously, it actually said 50% chance of rain at 5. So there's a big discussion within the team about, do we go even wets here? Is this going to rain halfway through the race? But I was scanning the circuit on my green flag lap just to see if any wet patches and where they were, where the grip was, where to place the car, where not to. Managed to do that quite well and had a good opening lap. It was the best start I've had, really, I think. So there are positives to take away, so it'll be a better journey home now than we thought it would be 5 hours ago.
Oh, I bet indeed. And the car must have felt pretty good. You had good pace in that last one.
Absolutely. It was frustrating because we were struggling with the car throughout testing and in qualifying, but the team made a setup change for race 1, which unfortunately we didn't really get to show. But then finally there I got the car out on track and just really pleased with it. So just full credit to Elite Motorsport, can't thank them enough, and also my sponsors, Lamplight Media and the Compliance guys, for all their support in getting me on the grid this weekend. So looking forward to the next one.
A consummate professional as always. Alicia, congratulations. I'll let you celebrate with the team, and we'll hand over to Lewis McGlade to run us through the podium ceremony.
Well, thank you there. I mean, like I say, great to listen down in on the drivers. You're very happy. It's always the thing with the reverse grid race, is that, after race 1 and race 2, everyone's like, yeah, cool, yeah, no, pretty happy. Because it's kind of that they almost expect to finish in those positions. Whereas the reverse grid, it's so up in the air just because of how crazy all reverse grid races are. I think it works absolutely brilliantly to have, especially when you get, a 15-car field like what we've had this weekend. And maybe we might be a car down in the future after hearing about Marcus Lucio there from Richard Dollar-Shaw, obviously from Hill Speed. Seeing how things are laying out for Lucio's future in the world of motorsport. Like I say, very interested to see where he ends up. Alas, it wasn't the race for him, just 11th place for Lucio this time. Ahead of all of that, though, drivers who will be very happy with how things went. There is Parmosky onto the podium once again in the GB4 Championship. Obviously, we've seen her on the podium twice before, once a first, once a second, and now a third. Callum Baxter onto a first podium for him this season, and then Brandon Templeton, who we have seen on the podium. That was back in the second race of the season at Donington Park, but this time it is a first victory for Templeton. Of course, we have seen victories for McNeely for the Fox team, so it's not the first time that we've seen Fox Motorsports winning in GB4, but again, an excellent performance from him. What are we going to expect to see over the latter part of the season? Obviously, there is only 4 rounds left to go in 2020, or 4 weekends rather left to go in 2024. That is just 12 races before we crown our champion. And it's still very up in the air, and you know how quickly things can change in GB4. These drivers are all learning as they go, and the rate of that is different for every single driver. Templeton will And like I say, it's all very interesting to kind of see whether these drivers are able to replicate this later on in the season, whether they're able to build their way through. Obviously, we've got the fastest lap trophy to be dealt out. I'm assuming that'll be Linus Granford. I actually don't know who would have set the fastest lap, because it would have been in race 1 earlier on in the day. Oh, it's Liam McNeely. Oh yeah, of course he was. He finished 3rd and grabbed the fastest lap, the Sunoco fastest lap award. So that's honestly that's an excellent performance from McNeely. I completely forgot that he would have set that fastest lap in the first race of the weekend. I would have thought it would have been Granford's. Either way, let's take a look at highlights from round 9. Highlights from round 9 of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. A little bit of a staller in the background from Finn Harrison, who was struggling to get going, but an excellent start moving up from the 3rd row of the grid for Brandon Templeton, with a move down the inside for the Fox Motorsports car to take over 2nd position as he'd go side by side with Taylor. It was a good lead though for the number 44 of Dia Noreen, leading their way down into the old hairpin, but of course with the charge behind from the grouping, seeing whether Templeton would be able to close his way in. Side by side as Callum Baxter would drive his way through down the inside of Chloe Grant at the old hairpin. Plenty of side-by-side moments, plenty of big moments going through the old hairpin, including this one for Brandon Templeton. Linus Granford sent his way straight around the outside on the exit of the old hairpin, up the hill, side-by-side between the two Fortec cars, as well as Dan Hickey was trying to hang on against the number 16 of Granford's, was not able to do so. Speaking of side-by-side between teammates, here comes the move from Baxter to the inside of Dia Noreen. That was for 2nd position. Templeton already through and running away into the distance. In the background, Chloe Grant off into the gravel trap, and eventually this would cause a red flag, ending the race there and then, meaning that Brandon Templeton was able to come across the line to take his first ever victory in GB4. And what a drive it was for Templeton. An excellent victory, of course. Results very provisional, with the red flag coming out towards the end of the session there. Callum Baxter in 2nd position, with Alicia Palmovsky onto the podium for the first time since the first race at Silverstone, round 4 of the season. Dia Noreen in 4th position, with Taylor rounding out the top 5. Wilson in 6th, Harry Burgoyne Jr. in 7th. Brandon McCacken in 8th position, with McNeely and championship leader Granford rounding out the top 10. Marcus Lucio in 11th position, with Dan Hickey in 12th, Finn Harrison in 13th. Then we've got Megan Bruce and Chloe Grant, of course, retiring from the race down in 15th position. A bit of a shame for the KMR Sport driver. Sometimes that's just how it goes, though. A couple of issues that she had back in Silverstone as well in the final race. A look at the championship standings. It is provisional. Linus Granford leading the championship by 25 points ahead of Harry Burgoyne Jr. for KMR Sport. Brandon McCacken in 3rd position in the championship, with Alicia Palmovsky in 4th. Brandon Templeton still joint with Callum Baxter, 5th position. They are in the championship on 130 points, with Marcus Lucio in 7th, Leon Wilson in 8th position, Chloe Grant still inside the top 10 with a 9th place, and Jack Taylor just about hanging on to the back end of the top 10 for Fortec. What an excellent prospect that we've got for the final moments of the championship. But let's head down to Piers Priory's catching up with the drivers in the paddock.
GB4 driver announced literally on the grid as you were firing up. Marcus, that was potentially, never say never, potentially a last GB4 race. A crazy one at that, but a stressful start, actually away from the cameras. Just tell us what happened.
Yeah, as we were trying to leave, the car just wouldn't start. And then we got it going again, and it just stalled as I was pulling away. So yeah, it was a bit hectic at the start, and yeah, actually the start wasn't very good because I had to keep the engine really high on the revs and couldn't drop it. So yeah, the start wasn't amazing, and that's why.
It's okay though, because you've got Spa to look forward to next weekend. But anyway, let's talk about that race in general. It was crazy to call from the commentary box. You were right in the thick of the action, and it must have been good fun regardless.
Yeah, it's always fun in GB4. Every race I've done I've had fun in, and yeah, that was one of them, probably the best. Well, not quite the best, because I think that would be Silverstone, but yeah, it's up there. Yeah, the start wasn't brilliant, and then dropped to last, and yeah, just can't really overtake around here, especially with all the dirty air and whatnot. So yeah, it was really fun.
Well, Marcus, we'll hopefully be catching up with you again next weekend. I'll let you go and celebrate with the Hillspeed team, who of course are your new full-time team. Off you go, and we'll grab a word with Megan Bruce. I think she's hiding. Is Megan hiding? Where's she gone? Why don't we grab Harry Burgoyne Jr. in the meantime? He was right there a moment ago. Harry, come this side for me, mate. Harry Burgoyne, that was an absolutely mental race, up and down the field. You were ahead of Linus Granford, then you were behind him, then you were ahead of your teammate, then you were behind him, and it was all going on. Just put us in the cockpit.
Basically very hectic, very like nose to tail racing there. Very hard with the dirt air to try and get past, but you would catch them and then you'd get stuck in the dirt air, and then the other pack would catch you behind, and then you'll fight in. It just that you never got a break in that race to get higher up the field, but it was a very good race.
And much like karting race, I suppose, and you're well used to that.
Yeah, I mean, you were defending quite a lot there, so it was a lot like karting.
A lot like karting indeed. Also a really good fight between you and Brandon as well. Your teammates, you know, you've got the same car, similar on pace, you know, side by side through different corners, and must have been good fun on circuit to race against your teammate and know that it's a hard-fought race.
Yeah, I mean, it's good racing against your teammate. You just need to hope you don't get taken out by each other. But yeah, very good racing against him. He's got a lot of experience from Formula 4, so he's also very good to win traffic as well.
Brilliant. Well, Harry, we'll let you go off with the KMR Sport team, and we'll see you back at the next round. I'm going to wander and grab a word with Megan Bruce, because Megan, as the paddock is getting very congested with all the cars coming in. Megan, come on this side. I wanted to grab a word with you because sticking a move up the inside of our championship leader, that was excellent.
Yeah, apart from that it wasn't so good, but yeah, it was fun.
It did look very, very good fun out there. We were enjoying commentating, and hopefully everyone at home was enjoying watching it. But I mean, you overtook the championship leader, but what was it that you were a bit disappointed about that race?
Just a bit of everything really. We lacked pace. It felt like all right, but yeah, the pace wasn't there, so we need to go look at that and hopefully be back for Silverstone stronger than that, yeah.
Well, at least we know the racecraft is coming along. Of course, you've got some experience with good racecraft in Caterhams, but of course with Slicks and Wings, we've been hearing a lot from the other drivers that the dirty air makes it required to stay close. What are you going to be thinking about when we move into the next round in a few weeks' time?
Well, just, yeah, hopefully keeping the pace up and hopefully getting out a bit more and something else to get the racecraft up, because that's ultimately what we're lacking a bit at the moment. So hopefully we can improve on that and keep our pace up there.
Megan, thank you so much for chatting to us. Go and enjoy the celebrations with the Fox Motorsport team, because of course Fox won the race with Brandon Templeton. We'll grab a word with Mayor Dionorine. Mayor, come on in. What a race, mate. You started on pole and you kept it. You're in the lead for about half of the race. Just talk to us about what it was like in the cockpit. Unfortunately, couldn't quite hold out and get a podium, but it's coming.
Yeah, the start was actually pretty good. The first couple of laps, I just pulled the gap, and I knew that the pace was there throughout the race. I closed the gap from the last dry race, and honestly, Brandon got by me, and I saw the gap behind, and I didn't want to fight, so I just pushed on, and then my teammate got by me, and I just kind of wanted him to get a podium, myself too. Alicia ended up getting me in the second last corner, but it's a pretty good race overall.
Pretty good indeed, a very good haul of points to yourself. But also it must feel pretty good that you're actually fighting on circuit, on merit with, you know, the drivers like, as you mentioned, Alicia Palmowski up at the front of the championship, and also Brandon Templeton. So, you know, is that good for your confidence? And also, I think that was probably, from my eyes, one of your strongest showings in terms of pace as well.
Yeah, it's probably is one of the best, but I'm hoping to do better. I know that win is somewhere in somebody's pocket, and I'm looking to grab it. But honestly, it was a rough start to the weekend. I think that race definitely boosted my confidence. So going into Snetterton, I'm definitely looking to have that confidence going into the racing.
A very quick word on your teammate, Callum Baxter, had a podium in that one. You had a fight on circuit together. I know you guys get on well. That must have been good fun.
Yeah, he got by me, and I just kind of wanted to stay behind him. I had a Palmowski behind me, which just, I was like, we had a crash at Alton, so maybe let's just take it easy and finish the race this time.
Finished the race in a great position. Mayor, we'll let you celebrate with the rest of your family and your team, and we'll see you back at the next round. Thank you so much. Have we got any other drivers kicking about? No, I think that's just about it. Maybe we'll get Dan Hickey, but in the meantime, we'll grab Max Marzorati in to just do a bit of a debrief for that race. I've just about caught my breath from that. 13 minutes of great racing. What are the highlights for yourself?
Where do I start? I mean, the whole race was incredibly exciting to watch, and actually quite intensely. I was standing by one of the hairpins, and suddenly I started to feel drops of rain, and I was like, oh, like what's about to happen here?
Yeah.
You know, everyone's out on slicks, but yeah, really great race. Obviously, I've been working with you know, Baxter and Mayer, so great to see their progress over those three races. Callum getting his first podium there. The race just being one lap too long to get it himself. So, but still, you know, really good to see, you know, the drivers come there, you know, from Canada, making that progress up the grid, and everyone. Templeton, that win, superb. He got into the lead, head down, just did his thing to claim the victory, and then the battle from, what was it, 5th down. Oh my God.
Brilliant,
Yeah.
brilliant battle to watch. I'm going to grab Dan Hickey for a very quick chat. We haven't got long. Dan, come this side for me. Dan, just sum up that race for us. You were right in the thick of the action. 10 seconds. What was it like to be in that race?
Yeah, it was. There was a lot going on. It was good to keep with the pack in front and sort of get stuck in with some action. A lot of defending having to do. Unfortunately, I had a little mistake which let the pack behind catch up a little bit. But overall, it was a pretty good experience.
Dan, thank you so much for chatting to us. So we'll catch you at the next round. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this weekend for the GB4 Championship. We're going to be live again next weekend at Spa-Francorchamps for GB3, where we heard we'll be seeing Marcus Lutzia racing with Hill Speed among all of the other regular drivers. So much looking forward to that. We hope you can join us for that. Thank you very much for joining us this weekend. If you've enjoyed the stream, drop a like. But for now, that's it from us here at Donington Park Grand Prix Circuit. See you very soon.